everybody.
Blessed morning. It's the heat of summer. So hindi natin makasama today si Tita Socorro. So, she needs to deal with something that's pressing. So she'll make it up na lang next time.
Hopefully next week she can join us.
She can join us. So pleasant morning again to everybody, and we're in the heat of summer, and mas marami pang hot issues being experienced by everybody, from rising prices of everything, fuel, food, and yet our the cost of living is also going higher, but our incomes are shrinking because, or the value of our money is not, it's not commensurate to the going rate of how much it is to live and spend, and it's just making do with the basics, no? And yeah, let's continue the discussion on going back to basics.
It's very relevant.
Very relevant to all. And if you have any comments, please feel free. Type in questions.
Let's say hello to our early risers here. Gilbert Pascua, good morning. And Clifford, yeah? Magandang umaga.
Magandang bigat, Clifford.
Thomas and Nilay Royo.
Okay, good morning
Good morning to you all.
So, at any rate, when we deal with going back to basics, it's very simple. If a person reaches a point, let's say of you, so that you feel that you have enough of what you have, you're ready,
May point of satisfaction.
may point of satisfaction kayo sa buhay ninyo. This is when you can easily take stock of what needs to be changed, if you need to go back to basics. Kasi for as long as we feel na parang marami pa akong pagkukulang, mahirap yata to go back to basics dahil I haven't achieved my goals, or I haven't achieved what I look forward to having in life, in doing. So,
Kayod pa.
Yeah, you need
Pero
to-
if you can appreciate now what you have, then it's very easy to go back to basics. In fact, ngayon na ang gulo-gulo all around us. Not just because there's a war somewhere that's affecting everything around the world and all of the problems we can think of, ang dami. The easiest thing to do is really, when you, retreat ka muna into your basic foundation, then it simplifies everything. Nasisira yung gulo ng isip, no? Nawawala na siya kasi, time to get calm again.
plus, if you talk about basics sa buhay, it deals with foundation.
Yes.
Now, all of this begins when we were young. Di ba? As a child, our parents raised us, building the foundation. So, may tatag tayo sa buhay. So, in the time that we become independent of our parents' responsibilities towards us, and then they taught us how to, be responsible ourselves. That foundation will carry us to the point of your ability to be able to face whatever, uncertainties. Kumbaga may capacity build tayo. And then if you need, there's also such thing as you continue capacitating yourself to adjust and adapt to the times. But if you learn to live, alam mo, lahat tayo dumaan dyan, marami sa atin. I mean, probably except for a few who are fortunate and born in wealth, majority of us had to go through the basics. Climb our way up and be able to find our place and share our responsibilities and our roles to the society in general. Magko-contribute kasi, magkakasama tayo no matter what. We cannot just say, I'll be independent of what our society is having us do. I have my sense of independence, but you will see, we are, we need the presence of government, we need the presence of corporate people, we need the presence of community leaders, we need the presence of provincial leaders. Marami tayong needs Kasi nakakabit tayo sa society na yan. then sometimes we gripe. Siyempre, they do their best to provide for our basic needs, education, jobs, yeah, security. There's that. But it's all up to us to be able to come to a point where what kind of life do I live? The purpose of how I want to live my life. What is the meaning of life? May mga ganyan sa atin yan. Those are the dynamics we need to deal with personally, given to the situation that we have to deal with. You know?
Meron nagsasabi kasi, not all politicians are doing their jobs for the people, diba? Meron nagsabi na, maybe this guy should go back to kindergarten and learn how to be decent humans again. That's going back to basics.
Going back to basics.
Kasi our
ang ibig
values
sabihin
is
nun,
what will carry us
yeah,
through
at the
it.
end of the day, values eh. It's not, how much resource do I have? See, resources right now, if you compare it to many years with the population today, siyempre, quadruple na yung population natin compared to 40 years ago. Kumbaga, dumami. But yet, hindi naman lumaki yung bansa natin eh. The resource is still the same. Yeah. Space is there, but there's enough land, but what is known as the resources that will supply the basic needs of people to provide for clean air, food, right? Housing, jobs. Most of this, simply because of the growing population. And not looking forward, not being able to visualize as the leaders on this projection to be able to adapt and adjust. Kasi nangyayari sa atin yan. Like suddenly, in this last 6 years, we saw so many roads being built. It's good. You can appreciate that. Simply because, but the purpose of that is to open spaces for people to move. Kasi pag may access, then you have spaces where people can make, okay, siguro, yes, we'll move here. Right now, there's a plan to move the capital of the Philippines instead of Quezon City. It's going to be moved to Clark. It's a good move because there's sufficient space. So you depopulate something, a place like Manila that has been so, kumbaga, it's so hard to supply the resources of Manila. Because the quality of life has gone down so low because there's just too many people sharing a small space. Yeah. Or it's harder to support. Kumbaga, it will cost so much energy, it will cost money to bring the resources. And with
you have to truck in the food,
because of a country that is dependent on fuel from the overseas, this is a difficult task to find the balance. Ngayon, nangyayari, we as individual citizens, we become stressed by the limitation that is causing a global phenomenon. Okay? Kasi global community tayo eh. We're supplying certain things to the global community. Sinanay natin ang sarili natin na ganito. But when it gets to a crunch like now, we find that countries would, we're going to have to kind of withhold or hold our resources, and instead of sharing it to the world community. Yun ang nangyayari ngayon. It's like now, there's going to be a problem on supplies of food like wheat. Tayo, pandesal is very much part of our morning, meals.
And that includes noodles also.
That includes many things.
All the wheat.
There will be a shortage to this. It's not like only a certain member of the society that will, kumbaga na maapektuhan. Kung hindi, pagdating sa arena, halos lahat tayo maapektuhan yan.
Kasi we love our pandesal and our siopaw.
Love our noodles. Anything with flour. Yeah. Anything with sugar. Anything of this, you will find. And again, because these are all commodities that are brought to us. Binibili natin sa labas. And there are dependencies.
So maganda, back to basics, mag-isip tayo how to have flour without wheat. Marami naman tayong
Yeah, there are many
possibilities.
alternatives or
We have
certain
our
types of.
potatoes, yung ating cassava, no? Even our rice, you can turn to flour, you can have products like that. I know someone who made already siopaw using rice flour. Okay siya.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities. When crises come about like this, we can make, we can adjust and adapt. And this gives us more experience and it empowers us. Oh, kaya pala may ganito.
Oo, meron naman tayong mga food natin dito. No?
Ah,
Regarding the roads, now that ang mahal naman ng gasolina, it's a good thing that we've already got a lot of people going back to using bicycles. Diba? Bicycles are good daw for the waist and it's good for your wallet. Diba? Kailangan bumili ng
but
gasolina.
we need to make sure that, kasi ngayon lang tayo nag-a-adjust sa mga bike lanes. Tama yung Marikina model. Imbis na inilagay nila yung bike lanes nila sa mga kalye, they're looking for other areas that's more safer and better air. Alam nyo, kasi quality of air, labanan dyan, and sometimes it becomes more detrimental to your health.
Don't bike beside the buses.
When you're exposed to this. Anyway, let's greet everybody else who came. See, Deserva, good morning, yeah?
So may belated happy birthday ka from Miguel Vargas and his
thank you.
team of doers.
And Gemini Rose, good morning.
His birthday last 17th of March.
I hope, Miguel, you've been tuning in to that Butanting that ran ashore, yeah? I talked to the Kurma management this morning. They say there's close to 2.8 million views on that in just 1 week. So a lot of people are happy. They know about, again, our town and our province. So let's do the best we can all the time. Let's greet Helen. Good morning, Helen. And then Narcisa. Good morning. And then Dixie Palmos. Good morning.
I hope you're all enjoying it.
So please contribute, yeah? If you have any things to comment and say, please give comment. Yeah, we can read it and share it to all the audience. Now, when you go back to basics, the health is wealth.
Yan, kailangan natin yan talaga. But back to basics, alagayan natin yung ating mga katawan. Huwag natin intayin magkasakit. And of course, that means following the good lifestyle activities. Yeah. Just like now, umiinit na naman, summer, make sure that you are staying hydrated. Huwag na yung intayin. Nauhaw na uhaw kayo bago kayo uminom. Keep hydrated. That means every 30 minutes, drink some water. Water is still the best. It's a basic ingredient.
Let's not, healthy, no? We have to consider that in countries outside, even in the region, napakataas pa rin ng COVID issues nila, no? And let us not take this for granted.
Yeah, let's not, think that we can do away with our masks. Let's keep our masks on. Kasi hindi lang naman COVID ang kumakalat. Maraming infectious diseases na kumakalat. I think no 18th or 17th of March, it was World Tuberculosis Awareness Day. No? So let's remember that. No? Let's keep safe.
We have to also, Miguel Vargas just shared something on what they're doing in their community. The doers community is now trained to do composting. Mind you,
good.
Miguel's group is along the coast of the Lumpinas, San Fernando. No?
And seaweeds make very good
compost.
Very good for your plants.
And, I want to mention this to everyone because the word sustainability, it has to do with the quality of your soil. And when you do anything that has to do with agriculture or growing your own food at home, backyard.
Most basic things.
But it's very important. You see, we don't emphasize looking at the quality of soil. You see, the soil is just seen as a medium for me to grow my crops. But they don't see that basically the soil is alive, teeming with so many living beings.
It should be.
That does its role to better the quality of soil so plants can grow. And this I want to relate to everyone, simply because, do you know that the other one aspect of the, the thing that will hit us the most is in our food. You see, fertilizer, we've been dependent on chemical fertilizer. When you talk about chemical fertilizer, it means it's oil-based. Okay? It's oil-based. So, recently, I think I mentioned this before, taas ng triple yung presyo ng ating mga fertilizer. So that means it's going to cost more money to grow food. And that means there's so many of those who are not able to afford, might not be able to grow food. So we're sharing this information that we should be able to see that on the financial side, in the world market, we will see so many struggles and already projections that will, tell us, look, individually, this will affect everyone. It's a family and it's individual. When you have shortages of food, the tendency is for farmers to either take the shortcut, shortcut sila to cut costs, or not farm at all.
What do you mean shortcut?
Kasi sa pagtatanim, kung anong mas madali, siyempre, you minimize costs.
Mm-hmm.
We may be, for example, many years ago, in the Cordillera, there was an issue on cabbage. Those who were growing cabbages, they were cocktailing what they were using
to control halo-halo iba-iba na
chemicals to control whatever. Yeah, they do cocktails to hasten the process of making sure na hindi masira yung crop nila. It's not, people don't know about this. You think, oh wow, so it's nice veggie. Gandang repolyo. Yun pala kung ano-anong pinaglalagay.
At minsan, hindi nila talaga sigurado ano ang mangyayari if you mix one thing with another thing.
So, what happened was, this is what I'm saying, when you take shortcut, we are the consumers. We don't know what is going to our food, how it's grown, how it's marketed, how it's put in storage. We don't know that. There's so many components to this. So it's so important for us to see the fact that katulad yun, nag-shortcut sila ngayon. They will be using something that may be detrimental. Like now, farmers don't like to weed. Kasi weeding in the fields,
yung trabaho ng
kumbaga ang trabaho niyan eh. It's one of the most tedious activity when you're growing food in a bigger scale or even in a small scale. Weeds is a constant hassle for us. So, dyan yan. Herbicides.
May weedicides na.
Weedicides ang gagamitin. So they spray the ground, kill all the grass.
Siyempre, chemical yan. Hahalo rin sa food
So
natin.
not only that, the soil, the nature of soil is that it's very absorbent. It stays there for a long time. Kumpara mo kunyari sa tubig, kung ang contamination na punta sa tubig, ang problema naman nun, mabilis kumalat. Ngayon, kung nagsunog ka naman, so sa hangin naman. So mas malawak yung pagkakalatan.
And if it's in the hangin, it will take it everywhere.
Yeah, yun nga, kung saan siya kakalat. So when we talk about basics of this, we should actually take stock of, hey, itong ganito, it's coming from here. This is how much I pay for this. This is the cost of it on a monthly basis. You see, it all adds up. Then if you look at 24/7, you will find, this is my expense. This is how much it costs to maintain myself, my family, for the needs that I need to provide. Di ba, may mga banggitan ngayon. May mga banggitan ngayon. The cost of living in Manila, you need to have 1,000 pesos a day just to get by. That's just very basic. Again,
earns 1,000 a day.
How many of the masses of people, the main population, earn that much? Even if you try to raise the wages, the economic fallout that's hitting most
Nag-close
of the
naman ang
corporations
business. Oo.
are having difficult. They're having a difficult time to balance their books. Kumbaga, ano. Yeah, kasi businessman din yan, ano, pupuhunan yan. But it's also one. May mga terms na ginagamit yan eh. Or there's strategies that people can do in leadership or as individuals. So it's important to recognize that I am a part of the solution. You know, inner change is important. Learning from the experience today. Nowadays, after the COVID, or the COVID still with us, with the pandemic, then you have economic fallouts that's taking place. It was obvious it was coming. When the pandemic hit, may fallout na yun eh. May projection na yan sa financial, yung mga tao who are dealing with the finances of the world. May economic fallout na yung hit ng pandemic. The productivity of people were curtailed eh. Na-disturb eh. Na-disturb yung working routines ng tao eh. So the energy that is required to manage the economy involves everyone. Kasi ganun yung setup ng syudad eh. That's what urban, modern lifestyle has done to many of us. So it's important to us to, when we talk about go back to basics, we should see what is the tracking, what is the direction. Even on my own, how do I project the education of my family? How do I project what my life would be like? The needs that come. What is it that when I need to live, going back to basic, what is required of me? What changes that I need internally? What are the values that is required so this becomes a success? This becomes something that, we can look forward to this. Recently a friend, I just met him recently. He came to the farm. Their program, he's actually a minister. The group is known as Eden Reforestation Project.
It's international.
It's an international org, which just started only about 14 years ago. Bata pa. But yet, they're able to plant 1 million trees a year. A day, sorry.
A day.
One day around the world, in 11 countries. And they're not only planting trees, they're establishing networks, productive networks within a community, and work with that community and stay with that community. They're not looking at only, establish a nursery, plant trees, then
they're helping the families of the farmers who are helping them so that their situation will get better.
Especially yung mga marginalized communities. Ang ganda ng kanilang layunin. So I enjoyed being with them.
It was a nice meeting of hearts and minds.
And I said, look, you need my services, then feel free. Pick my brains on this. I really like what you're doing and I want to be a part of this. But anyway, yung mga ganyan, tinitingnan nyo, there are opportunities outside there. This is what this group is trying to do. Giving opportunities in communities that are marginalized. But their focus is building, bringing back the natural resources, which is basically missing in most of our country today. That natural resource is vital for our future. So when you see these things taking place and happening, you will find, what kind of role can I do here? How can I minimize to make sure that we can save more of our resources? We're talking about clean air, water, good short. Ang dami niyan eh. And what is my contribution? What do I do?
Okay, now, speaking of what do I do, one thing I suggest is, alam nyo, every month, meron mga sale days online, di ba? So parang, wow, feeling mo, I gotta go shopping, even if I don't need it. Let's hold back a bit, with the shopping days. Kasi usually, hindi mo naman sana bibili, kaya lang, sayang kasi it's on sale. So, bili tayo ng bili, kahit di naman natin kailangan. Everything you buy comes from the resources that Tito Toby is talking about. So, the less we buy, the less resources we use. And we end up saving money for things that we really need. our basic needs. Yeah, who needs another? For example, clothes. People used to buy clothes very seldom, years back. But now, every time na lang may sale, oh, I have to buy this, I have to buy that. It's not really have to, di ba? Parang nadadala lang tayo ng magagaling na officers na, oh, buy it now, You'll miss out on
Yeah,
the sale.
sometimes you buy a couple of pairs of shoes, but you only can wear one.
Yeah,
One
you
pair.
can't wear
You
them
know.
all.
And there's some, kasi today, marami ng mga, there are things that we need to be more practical more than anything else. Pag
Yeah.
sinabing down to earth ang buhay natin, like Miguel is sharing something again, and he said, oh, they're taking care of 338 itaog trees. If you guys know about this, and
And
talisay
talisay.
seedlings. So, this is so, kumbaga those bitaogs, man,
So
this is a
good.
coastal development, so it's so wonderful. Then, Miguel, one
They're
of these
running
days,
a nursery now.
I'll touch base with you and give you more
Great.
seats, okay? I
That's
just got
great because
seats
we're really
recently.
planting a lot of trees, so we always are looking for nurseries. It's great to hear that you are growing trees.
Okay, let's see. Greet. Belated happy birthday, Sir Toby. Sabi, good. Okay, salamat, Tim. Then, Avelina, what's good morning to you too.
Oh, and Vina
Vina
Pascua.
Pasco and Josephine de Belen. Good morning. Good morning. Guy Edison. Good morning. So, many of these things that we need to, that's why we continue discussing this matter. But there's one thing that's very important for us to know. You see, we as humans, we as people, we have the potential to do good things if we have a strong desire. And in the world today, sometimes we always think, oh, I don't have a platform to be influential to people. Oh, I don't have the means to reach out to more people. There's nothing to worry about in that. Because the idea is to make sure that I myself are adapting and adjusting, and I become an example to others. Not only to myself, to my family, but also to my neighbors, to the people I work with, to my friends. In this world, we have the potential to bring about goodness to everyone. So it's like learning to be the torchbearer of good things in this world. And in that way, we make a difference in people's lives. One thing, when we deal with going back to basics, many times people don't realize or don't know what going back to basic means. Sa akin nga, minsan dito suddenly we planted so many trees and we also included our neighbors. And now there's water in our springs, even in the hot summer, being able to provide water to the needs of people and also for them not to be able to grow a lot of their rice. Tapos na sila sa rice crop, nakadalawa sila. Pero at least to grow something in their backyard.
Sana. Like.
There's sufficient water, But they also have to learn to be able to save and how to use it, maximizing the use of such resource. This is one thing that education needs to be brought in. The values that need to be inculcated in people that these resources are not endless. And we are responsible. The fact that we need these resources to live, but yet we should be responsible enough to understand that I should be able to conserve and preserve more of these resources by my own practice. And in doing so, you begin to, when you start to do it yourself, you practice it in your daily life, you will find people will take notice of it. Then, because you have that experience, not only on the technical side, but the very desire to be able to make a difference in this world I live in, to make it so that people's lives are better. And then, the result of this, it brings peace to you. You experience that goodness yourself, and then you become more open to sharing that goodness to others. So this type of models is very important. When I see what Miguel is doing, it's very excitable to see what they do.
Nakakatuwa.
Because reaching out to people opens up avenues. You know, I have this experience. I know it helped me, and it's helping others. And somebody else you have helped. May sariling network yon. So you light up.
You spread the goodness.
You know, you spread the goodness in this world. Alam niyo, dito sa Lotus Valley, pagdating ng gabi, napakadilim. You know, but may mga panahon, may mga fireflies.
Maganda.
Ano yun? Putitap. Ano ba yan? Okay. Di na yata alam na marami yan eh. But dito sa amin, may,
Parang toothpaste yung naisip
Okay.
ko.
but anyway, yung fireflies na yan, they're so tiny, but it glows at night. May ilaw siya, may liwanag. Pero in a short distance of about 10, even about 10 meters, you will see them. Matatanaw niyo pa kahit na napakaliit sila, kahit malayo-layo. Alam niyo, magayon yan eh. So sa kadiliman ng gubat, makikita niyo sila. Manonotice niyo, kaya minsan mas malayo pa. Mas lalo, kapag hindi mo, kunyari, pag may ilaw, iba yung adjustment ng mata mo.
Yeah. You
Pero-
need the darkness to see that
Yeah,
light.
you need that darkness. So, ang puntos diyan, may panahon, nagsasama-sama sila sa isang particular puno.
Parang Christmas tree.
Oo, napupunuan na ng maraming fireflies. Napakagandang tingnan. Tapos suddenly, in the middle of the night or sometime in the night, they will spread. Sabay-sabay silang umaalis. O yan, alitap-tap daw. Okay? Sorry. Thank you, Matt. Anyway, sabay-sabay silang umaalis sa puno. Pag nakita niyo, napakagandang tanawin. Pero yung punto ko dyan, yung ilaw na isang maliit. Yeah? Pag nakita niyo yan, nag-glow sa gabi. Tayo, pwede tayong maging ganun. Kahit na sa
There'll be
dark,
little lights in
little
the
lights in the
darkness.
darkness of this world. And if you have many of those little lights beginning to come together, isn't it so wonderful to see and witness? Napakagandang tingnan yan. You know, it's so beautiful. Then it brings about, magano, you appreciate, wow, the jungle is not just something to be afraid of. But yet in the world we live in, minsan parang dense forest eh. Marami dyan, medyo
It's like a big jungle.
nasa kadiliman yung tanaw nila na parang hirap, parang ano yung buhay ko na ganito, or ba't hindi ako masaya, ba't galit pa rin ako, may mga ganyan yan eh. So minsan, when we all face such difficulties in life, all we need to do is to hindi nagkukulang pagdating sa seeking wisdom from within. Goodness is present in our hearts. You know, there's
And the goodness is like a light. It's like lighting a candle.
Yeah.
And then you begin to see it clearly. Yeah, hindi na tayo takot. Di ba? When we're in the dark, takot tayo. Ang dami na naisip na
Yeah.
konting ingay, konting kaluskus, nervous na tayo. Kasi in the darkness, we don't know what's going on. We don't know where to go. We don't know what to do. But when we light a little candle and we light other candles by helping each other, it's like lighting all these things. It's beautiful.
And those candlelights can be in people's hearts.
Yeah.
This is these fireflies suddenly in the middle of the jungle na napakadilim, you'll suddenly see a tree that's so glowing. Then yet, you realize that it's not just one. There's hundreds of thousands of them coming together. And then it brings about light at night. And you'll see, wow, there's the glowing tree. So we can all live this way. And we may all be lighting up candles in people's lives, sharing them the wisdom, sharing them love.
Sharing the light.
Actually, love and care. Kasi kumbaga, we are after peace. We desire peace. Yeah, we desire meaning in our life. So when we have this growing in our heart, cutting down on certain things of this world is a lot easier. You get to understand, look, I have my limitations living in this world. the basis of my existence is not accumulating what's in this world, accumulating all of these things.
Mm-mm.
Because these are the things that you always leave behind anyway.
Okay.
You know.
So sabi ni Narcisa, tanging sa inyo na lang po. Siguro may alitap-tap. Pero ang sabi ni Matt, it's so amazing experiencing the fireflies here at the farm. I really appreciate their contribution. Kasi si Matt sa farm din
Yeah,
nakatira.
he lives in Sri Lanka.
Actually, no, if you live in the city, mahirap makita yung fireflies kasi may ilaw eh. No, pagka madilim talaga yung places when you notice them. And of course, in the farms, mas may puno rin. Mas mayroong places for them to go. I hope that we'll all plant more trees para naman makakita ulit lahat ng alitap.
This is sukat yan ng prospering.
Yeah,
You
how
know,
good your environment
in nature, it's like this, yeah. When you start to see such insects thriving, it gives you a measure of how the recovery, the rehabilitation, and how your ability to manage it is taking place.
Oo.
Diba may resulta?
Kamukha noon, nagkano kami ng mga bisita na photographer sila
Nat
Geo, ano? Hindi sila nakatulog. Kasi naghahanap sila ng mga palaka. Because when there are frogs, it's a measure of how good your environment is. Kasi yung frogs, very sensitive sila, no? Pagka hindi balance. Nakahanap naman sila.
Yeah, then they didn't only find the frogs. A rare frog, dito raw nila nakita one of the rarest frogs na hindi na nila mahanap sa ibang lugar. But they could not sleep simply because they were witnessing the whole.
They were taking pictures of the whole Milky Way from our area.
And that time also they saw the fireflies.
Nakakita rin kami dito, marami kami hammerhead worms. Meron palang ganito.
Yeah. So anyway, the point here is, as people, let us be models. Let us light up more candles. Share the wisdom. Share the goodness. There's much goodness in the world, so much. To bring it about in our lives, just so that we have our own peace, then we're happy. And then we appreciate what life really is more. When this is taking place, the transformation in our life is taking place.
And then, like you started saying that if you appreciate what you have, then it's easy to go back to the basics. Yeah.
My friend Saldi, thank you for the greeting. So, sa ating mga kasama, please let us make it so that our lives are models for others. Embrace this life, a way of life that to bring about goodness, to make a difference in people's lives. And, so much we can do. Let us not be self-limiting as far as what we can do. No, we have capacity to do. Bring about goodness. We need more peace in this world. We need to pray more. We need to, kumbaga ilabas natin yung galing at gaang ng loob ng ating mga sarili. In that way, it's like now we know there's so much negativity taking place. There's so much hate taking place. Mm-hmm. We can make it so that we can make a difference here. And let's not just wait or think that I'm very limited to what I can do.
Let's go back to the basic value of respecting each other, appreciating each other. Diba you had something you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, here.
Okay, it's time to return to core values, time to get back to basics, to self-discipline and respect for the law, to consideration for others, to accepting responsibility for yourself and your family, and not shuffling it off on other people and the state. So, huwag natin i-blame yung iba. Let's take responsibility for ourselves and what we are doing.
Yeah. Let's embrace this quote and try to understand it, and apply it in our lives. It will make a Offline.
Nawala yung line.
Yeah po.
So, again, thank you so much to everyone.
Yeah, and even if we are going through a lot of challenges now, let's not worry kasi as my spiritual teacher said, worry doesn't ever solve any problems. It cannot even move a stone. Kaya, huwag na tayo mag-worry. Mag-ingat na lang tayo. Let's go back to basics, simplify our lives. So everything will be easier.
Happiness is from within. It's not something that we think we can buy. That we can let it grow in our hearts. This is something we have been gifted with. Let's bring about this caring and loving to others. Make your own life better and full of reason and purposes. So let us more be giving and sharing. So marami pong salamat sa inyo.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Have a nice weekend. See you next week.
Be safe.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, go Palakas!